Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another video, and this is the fourth time I've recorded this. The very first time I did it, I probably only recorded like 5 minutes into it, and I thought, you know what, this isn't happening, I'm already making too many mistakes, let's start over. The second time, I recorded the entire thing, started to edit it, and then realized, wow, I sound really bored. So I scrapped that entire video, which was like almost over 22 minutes. And then I recorded a third one, which sounded pretty good. But I finally decided that my original goal for this video was kind of annoying and I didn't want to do it. I planned on actually putting my August TBR with my Magical Readathon video at the same time. And honestly, I just didn't like it. It was pretty long. It was like 20 minutes. I feel like it probably deserves its like own video. It just seems so like separate. It wasn't really working for me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to bite the bullet and I'm going to delete it and I'm going to record this one more time. So I got up at 12 a.m. to start this process. It is now 4 a.m. and let's start recording a video, as we do, because my sleep schedule is stupid anyways. So without further ado, I present to you my August TBR. So I'm actually going to be selecting 6 books to try to get through this month. Hopefully it goes well. The first book that I'm reading is The Extraordinaries by TJ Klune. I'm already about 100 so pages into this. It's pretty fun, but also kind of immature. I have some arguing thoughts here, so I'm just going to describe the book. The book follows a great cast of queer characters. It's got some great queer representation. The main character also has ADHD. But this is a world very much like our own in a fictional, I'm pretty sure, New York City called Nova City. And our main character, Nick, he is this fan fiction writer, and he writes a bunch of fan fiction about one of the superheroes in their city called Shadowheart. And from what I can gather, his plan now is to try to become a superpowered person too, so that he can date Shadowstar. I know I sound skeptical when I'm saying this because honestly I am. I didn't realize that was the plot going into it. I knew it had something to do with superpowers and a queer character, but that was it. And as I'm reading the plot, I'm like, really? Is this where we're going with this? So anyways, I know this isn't a... So I guess take this with a grain of salt. Like I said, I'm not even close to being done with this book, but I'm skeptical at the moment. But essentially that is the plot. The second book that I'm technically reading at this time is The Name of the Wind. I feel like this is a really big and popular book, so to kind of put it as a side note seems like a disservice, but I'm not super into it. The main reason why I'm reading it right now is because I got it free on an Audible service, and so I'm kind of just doing that while I play games and stuff like that. I'm just sort of listening to it at the same time I'm doing other things. So I feel like everyone probably knows what The Name of Wind is about. I don't really 100% know, but it's apparently about a character named Quoth, and he's apparently a really old famous hero, and so this other character comes in and is interviewing Quoth about his life, and I'm pretty sure that's what it's supposed to be about. It's just Quoth retelling his heroic biography, I guess. The third book that I'm actually currently reading at this moment is my own book. So I finally got the proof in for my novel, so I do have a physical edition of my book in my hand. And so I'm just gonna fly through that this weekend so I can make sure everything's good to go so I can go ahead and publish it. The plot of my novel is that in a world just like our own, but back during the time of World War II, after the atomic bomb dropped, some humans began to develop the ability to control the 4 elements: fire, earth, water, and air. 75 years later, we do follow a trio of characters. They are going into their last year of high school. They are trying to just do their thing, get out there, and kind of move on to their future. But there's just a lot of past traumas and expectations that weigh on them. And then soon into the story, we hit a traumatic event that ends up putting them on a quest to kind of save someone that they thought they had lost. So if you guys are interested, like I said, I have a whole video about it. Check out the Goodreads. So after that, I'm going to be reading The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare. Honestly, I feel like anybody else could probably do a better job of explaining this book than I could. I actually haven't read any of Cassandra Clare's books except for the first Infernal Device book. I'm aware what the Shadowhunters series is. I think most people are. I'm really just more of a fan of the TV show. I thought it was pretty good. I definitely like Magnus and Alec from that TV show, and this book is about Alec and Magnus, so that's why I ended up picking it up. So this book does follow their own story. I think they're trying to like vacation and just do themselves, but end up getting wrapped up into some Shadowhunter shenanigans, as one does. And so yeah, hopefully the characters will seem pretty true to how they were at the TV show, and I'll just enjoy another fun time with them. After that, I'll be reading Red Skies Falling. This is the sequel to Black Wings Beating by Alex London. This is also a queer novel, so lots of great representation for queer novels this month. I can't obviously talk about it too much because, like I said, it's the sequel, but the first book follows a pair of siblings. One of them has the ability to speak to or control animals or something like that, and they're on a quest to capture like the most dangerous famous bird or predator in their area. And at the same time as they're doing this, we get the perspective of an invading army slowly making its way to the siblings' kingdom. So I really like the first book a lot, and I'm looking forward to the second one. The last book that I'm going to be reading this month is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. I have a really funny background with this book. It's actually the very first Sanderson book I bought, and it's probably one of the last ones I've read. Like, honestly, the way this happened was when I first started watching BookTube was when I first discovered Sanderson. This was probably about 2 to 3 years ago, and I watched a video by Elliot Brooks where she described the order you could read Sanderson to like get into his work, and Warbreaker was one of the first ones because it's like a really solid entry, but it's also a standalone. So I was like, cool, I'll go and pick up Warbreaker. Everybody's talking about the Sanderson guy, whatever, I'll do it. But then about a month or so later, she started to reread all of the Mistborn books, and so she was kind of doing this thing, I guess sort of like a buddy read. You know, we were gonna read them all and then discuss it at the end. So I was like, well, I might as well go ahead and try getting into these now. And so I did. I read all the Mistborn books, absolutely fell in love with them. So I read all of the second Mistborn era, and I ended up even getting into Stormlight Archives, which I didn't think I ever was going to. Like, even when I started reading Mistborn, I was like, all right, fine. Like, this series is kind of big. I'm not a fan of big books, but I'll give it a shot. And then when I was done with it, I was like, well, these were incredible. And if everybody says Stormlight Archives is incredible, I was like, fine, I'll do it too. And I didn't regret it a single bit. So I've finished so many of Sanderson books. I even just finished his Reckoner series, which is a different trilogy. And I'm like still sitting on Warbreaker. And I'm like, what are you doing? Finish this freaking book. Warbreaker is actually about a kingdom who has to, I guess, send their daughter to another kingdom to placate. I guess maybe they can threat of war or something like that. I'm not exactly sure why it needs to get done. But the father of the daughter doesn't really want to send the daughter they want it to be because he likes her too much. So he sends the other daughter, which is totally fair, obviously, very reasonable. And so he ends up sending the other daughter over there, and I think it's just like this really interesting adventure quest where you know, she makes her way to that kingdom. I think the other sister ends up following because she doesn't trust her to make it on her own. I'm not really sure, but yeah, apparently a lot of really interesting things. I think a really cool magic system, I'm sure too. I think Sanderson's usually famous for his magic system, so I wouldn't even doubt it. But yeah, that is going to be it for my August TBR. Those are all the books I'm hoping to get to. If you've read any of these, definitely leave your thoughts down below. Let's discuss some of these books. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye now.